Time is now 10:06. Up next on your favorite radio station, it is time for hour one of the Saturday Special with your host, MZ.
Dave Michaels.
Good morning, MZ.
Hi, Dave Michaels.
How are you doing, MZ?
Good. Hey, is it true what I have heard that the Dave Cave supplement sales are way up because people are sick and tired of being unhealthy and having less than ideal immune systems? Is that correct?
I'll tell you what, MZ, no matter who you believe, no matter where you go, it is always best to make sure that your immune system is up to tip-top shape. No matter if the virus is around or not, take care of your immune system. The best way to do that is to stay healthy, supplement with the right vitamins, vitamin D, zinc, vitamin C. Those are all things that you should be taking to boost your immune system.
And you've got a giant stock of everything,
We've got
right?
all that stuff. We have all that stuff, as well as tangy tangerine, Arthrodex for your pets, Bloomin' Minerals for your garden. You name it, we've got it. We've even got laundry detergent. We've got all that stuff out there, MZ. It's fantastic.
You can run your entire life with products from the Dave Cave.
I tell you what, though, we still have a little Synaptive, which is very popular. I don't know how we still have some, but we do, and that is to help with brain function. And we still have a few Ultimate Daily Classic. That is to help with blood pressure. Oxybody, which is to help to put more oxygen in your blood in case you have problems. That's a concern of yours. You want more oxygen in your blood. Oxybody is what you want. If you want more advice, just call me, 831-218-KSCO. That's 831-218-KSCO. Call me anytime. If I'm asleep, I won't answer. But just call me and I'll answer any questions you have there.
Cool.
Okay.
Now, here, Dave Michaels.
Uh-huh.
You know what day this is. Everybody knows what day this is.
Yeah.
Anniversary number 20 of the most somber day I can remember in my lifetime. Possibly with the exception of the November 22nd, 1963.
I think that would be pretty darn gnarly. I don't know how that would compare, but how do you think they compare?
Well, you weren't around for Kennedy's assassination,
No way.
but you were definitely around for 9/11.
Yeah.
And they were both just horrible, unspeakably horrible things.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
Events. So we have to honor that. We will certainly honor. It's not going to be the topic of the whole program. In fact, we have I've invited a guest to be on today that I expect will be a really fun guest to be on today. Now, are we going to be doing fun things on this somber day? Yep, we are. We are.
Good,
but we're going to be respectful from the very beginning. What were you doing on 9/11 when you first heard?
I was driving to work. And I was driving to work, and my, at the time, wife called me to say that there had been a missile attack because nobody knew for sure, and that she was hearing it on KSCO because we always listened to KSCO.
Wow.
And so I turned on the radio, found out what was happening, went back to the house and just, said, hey, everybody, everything's going to be okay, and then I went back to work. At the time, I didn't know how bad it was. When I got to work, people were telling me they had just finished watching it on TV, and they told me what had happened.
What do you think is the greatest difference in our in our country, not forget about our world, our country now, these days, than back in those days? And there is an answer. There is a correct answer to this question.
What is different about the country now?
What is most different? What is most strikingly different today than the days after September 11th, 2001?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't go to the airports. I would say airport security. I don't know.
Well, sure, all of that, absolutely right.
Security.
But something that I just can't get over and can't understand is that for weeks and even a few months after 9/11, we were a country united. And ever since maybe, a few months after 9/11, we've become progressively more divided a nation. Okay? Do you remember? Does that make sense to you? Do you agree with what I'm saying?
It does.
We were Americans back then.
Well,
now we're everything other than we're just people competing with each other and angry with each other. And
it takes a tragedy to do that, which is sad. But it happened with the earthquake. I remember the earthquake. Everybody got together, and we were just one big team. It takes tragedies to make things like that, to make humans pull together.
Yeah.
It just does. It's unfortunate, and it's human. It's human nature. What are you going to do? It's an unfortunate side of human nature. There's a lot of good things about human nature too.
Why
but
should
that
it
is
take a tragedy for people
to
who
unite.
have to unite?
Yeah.
Why?
That's the time we settle our
great
differences
question
don't matter.
today.
At that point, our differences don't matter, and we're on the same team. That's when we realize that we're on the same team. Yep.
Indeed. Okay.
So I'm gonna head out to the Dave Cave. Fantastic deals, MZ. That'll get you in a better mood.
Now, will I be taking calls, or can you screen calls out there? The phones have been weird the last couple weeks.
I am fairly sure that I can screen calls. I'll find out. Just tell me if you can't see the name, and then I'll know to come in here and change a few things around.
Okay.
So
Alrighty. Thank you, Dave Michaels. Here we go with the show.
Good morning. A brighter day is here. Good morning. May we bring you cheer.
We've got time, we've got tunes, we've got time, tunes, and temperature.
Get up and go, it's today, you know, on KSCO Radio.
How do you do, gang? Welcome to the 20th anniversary of 9/11 Saturday special. MZ here, reflecting on the last 20 years. God, this is like the 3.5 20 years that I've lived. And this was definitely the hairiest. God, what's ahead? Time will tell.
Good morning. Now stay right here on KSCO Radio.
All right. One of the best programs KSCO has on the air, I think, is Michael Harrison's rap program, WRAP. It's 1 hour a week, and it plays Fridays from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Flight 1080 finishes an hour earlier at 6 o'clock. Normally it runs from 4 to 7 in the afternoon drive. I was listening to the rap show yesterday, and I heard a very touching song that had been written in honor of the 20th anniversary of 9/11. And this song was written, it was played, Michael played it on the show, it's 3 or 4 minutes long. And it's called, Tuesday Morning, I think. And it's written and performed by a talk show host named Joe Pagliarulo. And he is actually a syndicated talk show host. And I've known about him for years. I forget which stations. He's out of a station in the East. But he is syndicated on a number of radio stations. And this Joe is apparently a musician, and quite a good one, and quite an articulate, wonderful talk host that impressed the hell out of me when I heard his Michael Harrison's interview with him yesterday. And then they played the song, which I'm going to open this program with. It's called Tuesday Morning, and it's by Joe Pags, I guess is his nickname, Pagliarulo. Okay, so here.
The sun shined on the apple as folks got on their way. Was a gorgeous Tuesday morning, tons to do that fateful day. The Monday rain subsided, leaving big white puffy clouds. The quiet serenity would soon give way as things got very loud. Freedom was attacked, our whole way of life. Their sick minds were packed with hatred and with strife. Tuesday morning, change without warning. from the sky. Moms and dads and kids were set for another day. Jobs to do, tests to take, working for their pay. Dinner out, maybe a show. They all had a plan. They had no clue that evil loomed ready to attack our land. Freedom was attacked. Cowards on those flights. 20 years we've all looked back, standing for what's right. Tuesday morning, change without warning. We're still mourning those we lost that day. 20 years went by, still we wonder why. Evil attacked freedom from the sky. Decades past, the worst day for our land. You'd think we'd be joined as one, together hand in hand. Our resolve has been shaken, our love is moved aside. It's time we remembered who we are and restored American pride. We came together on that day, determined one and all. A generation later, we're divided, they hope we fall. Tuesday morning, change without warning. We're still mourning those we lost that day. 20 years went by, still we wonder why. Evil attacked freedom from the sky. Attacked freedom from the sky.
He wrote it, he played the music in it, and he sang it. Boy, that guy, Joe Pags, who's a talk host, a radio show talk host, is an amazingly talented person. And,
thank you, Doc. We're back. We're just setting up for
we don't need to hear this Johnny Carson thing that came up on YouTube afterwards. Okay, MZ here on the Saturday special, 9/11 20th anniversary edition. And let's see, why don't we do this here? Why don't we do this right now? Rich Lieberman. Welcome back to KSCO. We're on the air, yes.
Geez, I'm glad you got to me right away. I could have read the War and Peace right now.
Well, didn't you think that was a touching, wonderful, appropriate song to play on this program? A great way to open it?
I've heard better songs, but that's my opinion. I mean, you want me to be honest?
Yeah, be honest. Be honest.
I didn't care for it. I thought I would probably have played something different. Maybe Neil Diamond, maybe a little, I don't know. Coming to America. I don't know. I didn't really care for that song.
But it was written for. Okay, that's fine. That's
no,
fine.
I'm not. Okay. my
I'm sorry.
opinion.
I'm sorry if I waited
No,
too
you don't be
long to
sorry.
get you on the air. I'm sorry.
No. I don't mean it like that. I meant that you asked me my opinion about that song, and I thought it was okay.
Okay.
I didn't really get motivated by it.
Now we have a caller already, Nick in Boulder Creek, who has who wants to weigh in on that song. What do you think, Nick?
Well, I just want to say that a couple months ago, you were taking the radio station in a different direction, and you were asking for suggestions and this and that and the other. And a few people had called in and said this talk show and that talk show, and I had never heard of them. And somebody, I was going to call in and tell you about Joe Pag, but you specifically said, I don't.
I did. I said, yeah, we're going in the more local direction than syndication. You're right. I remember that.
Absolutely. Well, I've been listening to Joe Pags for like 10 years. I'm that truck driver from Iowa that lives here now.
Yeah.
You and I met. We've met a couple times. Anyway, short story long, I listened to Coast from 10 until 2 on your radio station. And then at 2 a.m., I turn on his podcast because he podcasts his show. That man is so entertaining. He literally reminds me of you, only he does the show 5 days a week for 3 hours.
God, I have a hard time doing 2 hours a week. Yeah. So.
Right. And like you, he loves to sing. Does he think he's the best singer in the world? No.
He's 10 times better than I am. Holy Christmas. I'm impressed by that guy.
He enjoys it. And that song literally was written in 3 hours. And you can go check this if you want.
Yeah, I know. I heard the interview with Michael Harrison yesterday. So, anyhow.
3 hours. 3 hours, blah, blah, blah. It took him to write the song. And then he had his friend produce it. And it's just, blah, 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 blah. But, man, come on. That was amazing. I thought it was a pretty good song for just thrown together for 3 days, 3 hours.
Okay. I'll say. Anyhow. Now, Rich, you want to talk to Nick, I think, right? Rich, go ahead.
No, I just think that we've spent 4 minutes talking about the essential vitamins and minerals. We've talked about a song that nobody's ever heard of. I thought the guy may be a great talk show host, but it was kind of an embarrassment in terms of the song, in my opinion. I didn't like his voice. I think he's, just by listening to him, I think he's got kind of an attitude. It sounded like he was inebriated, to be honest with you. I didn't like it. So, look, can we talk about me a little?
Sure, you want to talk about you. That's fine. Okay. Nick, thank you. We have to talk about Rich now, so go ahead.
Yeah.
Rich, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's your emphasis today is a guest, allegedly.
A legendary guest, you. That's correct.
You've been on the air 21 or what is it, 15 minutes?
Yeah.
And you're supposed to say, this is Rich, what do I do, a little background.
Everybody knows what you do. What are you talking about?
You haven't even given me a formal introduction, Michael, and I'm a little irritated. This is not shtick. So could we do a formal,
yes.
You have a guest on. It's like you could be teeth, right?
Rich is a guest, and he is Rich Lieberman from Rich Lieberman 415 Media. I think it's a 20-year-old blog. Didn't you start doing it in 2001, about the same year?
Not too. Well, I had the foundation set. That's like me trying to be really important. When there's a guest on any show and they use the word foundation, that usually is a pompous way of saying. Anyway, the origin,
okay, so you've always been a fan and a critic of media, all kinds of media, radio, television, print, anything, and you're an avid sports watcher, and an average sports spectator. I mean, you know 1,000 times more about sports than I do, which isn't saying much, but you really do. So you and I became acquainted in 2011, I think, when they had the big change at KGO Radio in San Francisco, and that greatest talk radio station in the country for so many years suddenly overnight became a big nothing burger, And somehow you and I connected then, and we've been friends ever since.
Yeah, you were doing a Saturday special, I believe, 2 weeks after that infamous dark day in Bay Area radio history when they pulverized this talk giant. And it, obviously regressed. There'd been, different iterations. Is it iteration or iteration? I don't know. That's another pompous word that, But anyway, you did a Saturday special, and I was the guest, and I actually broke the story about KGO on that day in December. We're coming up on, speaking of anniversaries, nothing to compare with 9/11, but I'm just using that. December of 2011, it was, we did a show, and, we became friends, and enjoy your presentation.
You were quite the character. You've been on the air plenty of times since then on this station and others.
Right.
But before then, and I think long before you were doing the blog, you were a radio personality in the Bay Area, and you were sort of a. I hate to use the word shock jock, but you did some shock jock stuff, some pretty original stuff. And some of it has spilled over onto our station over the last decade, So, anyhow.
Well, I wouldn't call it shock jock. I would call it creative form.
Okay.
By the way, I actually did TV, too. I did TV commercials for the Round Table Pizza chain. I played a character.
Was that Vinny? Something?
Big Vinny, yeah.
Big Vinny, yeah.
And then we were only supposed to do one, and it debuted on the 2000 Super Bowl. So I got calls, and people are like, they couldn't believe it. And, I couldn't believe it either, because like, holy mackerel, that's pretty cool, that they shoot this commercial in San Francisco, and it's debuting on the 2000 Super Bowl, the pregame show before the game. So, and it was the Bay Area and all around California. It wasn't obviously the national, but it got significant play. And then we did another one. So I ended up doing 3 commercials for the Round Table Pizza. And then my luck, the guy that thought I was really cool, the king of the Michael Jordan of commercials and this, that, he retires. So that's my first stroke of genius. But I did radio, a lot of radio. And see, my problem at the time, I didn't think it was going to be a problem, but I started out real young. I was actually on a radio station here in the Bay Area, K101, in 1982. I was 19 years old. And
Jim Gabbert's station, yeah?
It was the Gabbard station that he had just sold it.
Oh, okay.
And, and then I started doing the sports, and then I ended up doing, as a result of that, I did a little bit of news, and then I got a gig with as a freelancer for ABC Radio. I covered the 1984 Democratic Convention. I was on the floor at Moscone Center in San Francisco, and I'm walking around and, acting like a big shot, and I'm talking to Ted Kennedy and Sam Donaldson and, hanging out with Larry King. It was 1984 was the year they had the convention in San Francisco, and then they had, it was an incredible event, and no matter what political stripe you, lead yourself to. Yeah, I was quiet. And then I just started doing that, and I covered the Super Bowl that year, which was played in the Bay Area. And then I went on to New York, where as a famous Broadway actor. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, things just happened to flow that well. And then, at like 25, I thought I was like a has-been. So I started then thinking about the blog around 2001. And then, I've been writing it since right around 2006. So almost like 15 years.
And there's nobody who does what you do. And you pretty much concentrate on media in the Bay Area, though it's not limited to that. I mean, you cover major news stories too, but you're a one-man operation, and you don't have any staff. You do everything yourself, and a lot of people read you. It's amazing.
Well, even the people that hate me, of which there are many, read me because I could be opinionated, and I'm a little. See, that's one of the things that is the advantage of a self-published blogger is that we're not beholden to, or at least most of us are not beholden to, corporate interests or, and then therefore we could be a little bit more honest. And I would say sometimes I'm too honest. And look, if I had a 3-car garage, well, I do have a 2-car garage, but in a house with a mortgage, I might be a little bit more reserved with my comments. But I've been able to, look at everybody thought I was going to be buried and this and that, and they were going to kill me off. And, the women who thought I was a misogynist in an article in the Chronicle about a year and a half ago.
Oh, yeah.
To bury me. And I'm still, which was ridiculous. And, but I'm still going. And I've been doing a lot more interviews and doing shows like this and eating lots more Chinese food. So I'm doing okay. Everything's fine.
You and I both love Chinese food. Now, there's Chinese food, which is, the typical American Chinese food, and then there's Chinese food that the Chinese people like to eat. And you and I both agree that if you look at a restaurant and there are mostly Chinese people, and chances are the food is authentic Chinese food.
Wait a minute. Why are you stealing? That's my line, and you're stealing my. You didn't.
I'm sorry. Because I knew you'd pick up on it.
Yeah, well, of course I did. But, I love Chinese food, but not the crap that you get at most of the Chinese restaurants around here, and not just around here. But, I was talking to a friend. He wanted to go get some good Chinese food. I see he goes, where do you get good Chinese? I said, well, you mean the crap that they give you? I don't know anybody who likes that, like the sweet and sour pork, or that crap, I guess it's called General's chicken, which is like a generic term for bleepy chicken.
Yes.
I don't know anybody who eats that stuff, but everybody associates Chinese food with there's a national chain too that rhymes with Randa. And it's called, I'm not just saying Panda. They don't advertise on your show, do they? No.
No.
The Panda Express, that's crappy. That's like Americanized.
I've seen that around. I've never tried it. So I don't. I mean, it must be
basically.
It's a pretty successful chain. I think I see them and I see people there. So
successful chain because they make crappy Chinese food. It's like this. It's over-salted, crappy, basically stuff that should be coming out of you, not going into you. You know what I mean? It's just awful. Yeah, but there, places where they still serve. Americans have this myopic opinion of because they get all their Chinese food. How do we get off on this tangent? Anyway, just a real quick thing about Chinese food. That you can get good Chinese food, you have to go to like New York or Chicago, or you go to L.A. Has a few places. San Francisco has a few places, but you got to go way out in the avenues to get decent Chinese food. Everything else is that crappy glazed, that over-salted and sugared crap that they put on pork and things like that. That's like Panda, the Panda Express,
okay.
Whatever it is.
Well, now I don't have to go there.
Yeah,
I don't have to try it.
It's awful. But the food, but anyway, you were saying.
Let me ask you a question. So how is it that you made the leap from being a news, sports, personality, radio guy, to being sort of a media critic? I guess not sort of. That's what you are. Using a blog. I guess blogs didn't really come into existence long before 2001 anyhow, right? Did 9/11 have anything to do with you wanting to start your own blog, which has become pretty successful?
No, but I'll tell you what it did do is, like a lot of people, I was in bed that morning. It happened, almost 5:45, whatever it was, our time.
Yeah.
Pacific Coast. And I began watching, like a lot of people, I watched CNN and Aaron Brown and the craziness of Dan Rather. And I was pretty much glued to the television that day. And the blog was a result of 9/11. I always kind of was involved in the media and was sort of a critic.
Did you think the media could have done better than it did with the reporting of 9/11?
I'm very critical, but I think actually as a whole, I think it was actually they did very well. You think about the mayhem on the screen and just what it would have been like to have been actually there, near the scene, and the whole thing with the buildings going down, and that I'll never forget an image in my and I think I'm not the only one who feels this way. Is you remember that area near the ground zero where they had pictures of all the what would be eventually victims, and with the have you seen this person? And there's a picture of a woman.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that to me was the most chilling of that day, was the fact that they had all those pictures. It must have been almost a mile, and I've been there since. And I was in I think I told you this story many a times. I was in that very building, the North Tower, or was it the South Tower? The whole, one of the first things you look at in New York before that day, the most, other than the Statue of Liberty, is the two towers, right? The distinctive towers, one that has the antenna on top, and the other one that, the 110-story buildings. My thing, I'm going off tangent here. I wish, and I said it at the time, when they decided to rebuild, I would have hoped that they would have built the same buildings, just exactly as they looked, but with one addition, that you make it 1 story higher to show those fill in the blank, that America not only was united and would withstand one of the worst days in our history, but that we would react to it and build it bigger, and they ended up building that one tower, which is a pretty building and all that. But I thought that they should, in ways to really galvanize the public and us especially. And, I heard you talking earlier about us being united and all that. And, yeah, we were for a while. Then, we became, and we are, obviously, we're very polarized. And anyway, but I would have hoped that they would have built the towers, and they didn't do that. But, so I regret that. But, no, I think the media did a great job, especially TV and the cable networks. And given the magnitude of what took place, given the fact that it was such a crazy day, we didn't know what was going on. We found out, later on that, we stopped, airplanes stopped flying that day for about a week, was it? Maybe 4 days?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I think they did a great job. They really do. I mean, there was, like everything else, there's things that you regret. And you got a little bit. I mean, it was a major story. Let's face it.
I remember watching Tom Brokaw on NBC. The camera was trained on the second tower coming down, and Tom Brokaw didn't say anything. It's like it just went over his head. That's the second tower coming down. Why aren't you saying something?
I told you this story. I told this to many, many people, and I'm not trying to, one up everybody here. But when I first saw what was going on, my first thought was, wait a minute, that can't be. It's a brilliant day. There's not a cloud in the sky. I just felt, and I'm not saying this like I was some genius. I said to myself, I just said that's kind of weird. I didn't think. It was, they said a plane crashed. We didn't know at the time whether it was a small plane or a big, And then when I heard a jetliner, like a commercial jetliner, I'm like, And then of course, 15 minutes later, we know what happened. But yeah, I think it was just, the way it went down and the fact that it was so visual and all that, and so, horrifically graphic, and, well, what were you doing? Where were you at?
I was at a, I was living at South Lake Tahoe, North Lake Tahoe then, actually.
Yeah.
And I was on crutches. I had a partially ruptured my Achilles tendon walking, and I was able to escape surgery, but I was in one of those Achilles boots, where they elevate your heel, and every 2 weeks you take one of the wedges out, and hopefully it gets healed. Well, that's what happened to me, and I had been pretty much laid up on crutches here for a month by that time. It was August 8th that happened, and this was September 11th. And my mother called me and said, "Turn on the TV. We're being attacked." And I said, "What are you talking about?" And just turn on the TV, click. And I turned on the TV and I started watching it. I said, "Whoa."
You think we should give a phone number out? Maybe a caller would want to talk to me.
Well, 831-479-1080 if you want to talk to Rich, if you want to relate a 9/11 story. I'm particularly interested I want to pose this question to people. Okay?
Yes.
How do you think our lives would be different if 9/11 hadn't happened? Everybody agrees that everybody's lives changed in this country, probably around the world, after September 11th, 2001. But what if that hadn't happened? What if we just kept going on like we were going and just sailed through that and sailed through the next 2 decades without that major event? How would our lives be different now? 479-1080 or mz@ksco.com. And our guest is Rich Lieberman, of Rich Lieberman 415 Media, a media blog that is frequently quoted around the country by news sources, because every once in a while Rich breaks a story involving media in the San Francisco Bay Area, and that gets picked up. And so real interesting life, and I bet you didn't think that you'd ever wind up being a columnist. Our lines are filling up very quickly now here, so I guess people want to talk.
What I did, people have given me, and look, I'm my own worst enemy, and it's also my best attribute, right? I'm not comparing myself to Frank Sinatra, but I'm going to make an analogy. They used to say Frank Sinatra. Remember the 4 lines?
Yes.
Magical on stage, miserable off stage, right?
Yes.
And I thought to myself, and I'm not the only one to come to this summation, that a lot of brilliant people in the world, okay, past and present, some of the most brilliant artists, plumbers. It's not just entertainment; it could be any kind of endeavor. Have usually been pretty screwed up. I think of Sinatra as one of them. He was a very, very very disturbed guy. Another person, Johnny Carson. You can go on and on and on.
But what about Robin Williams? Everybody loved him. Everybody who knew him, he was a Bay Area resident. I never met the man, but people I know who have just think he was a prince, and they couldn't believe he was so depressed and did what he did,
No, I couldn't believe what he did, but I knew he was depressed, and because a good friend of mine is actually a friend who's friendly with Dana Carvey, who's a fellow Marin County resident and a fellow Bay Area comedian, and he went and did Saturday Night Live, and he's been in all the Church Lady and all that stuff. Was very, very good friends with Robin Williams, and he battled depression and was battling depression at the time of his suicide.
Oh, obviously, yeah. So, wow, but I had no idea. It sounds like your friend knew it. Hey, let's take some. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. I was just going to say that day that he passed away or that he killed himself. You called me and said, "Guess what happened? Robin Williams killed himself."
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember that now.
Remember that.
Okay, well, we do have a number of people who are calling 479-1080 who want to be part of the program here. So let's take Jerry in Pacific Grove. Jerry, welcome to the Saturday Special with Rich and MZ. How 9/11 changed Americans. Okay, I'm definitely interested in that, but I also want to know what you think our lives would have been, how they would have been different without 9/11 had that not occurred. But go ahead.
Me,
and Rich, yeah.
Of course.
Jerry?
Caller.
Jerry.
It's the caller there, the caller.
Yep.
Caller, you're on the way.
Yes, sir. One of the thoughts that went through my mind on 9/11 was, at that point in time, on that day, in my mind, we all became Israelis because they've been dealing with terrorist activities for a very long time.
Hey, can I ask the caller something real quickly? Are you alone, sir, by any chance?
Pardon me?
Are you alone? Do you live alone?
No.
The Larry King
No,
would always ask crazy people, do they have, like, are they alone? And okay, so what are you talking about? The Israeli, is this like a Jew conspiracy kind of a thing? Is that what it is?
No, not at all. But
well, then what's the deal with the Israelis? What does that have to do with 9/11?
Rich, why don't you let him talk?
Okay, go ahead. Can't wait to hear him.
What I see that we had in common on 9/11, that we were attacked by terrorists and just shocked out of our minds, and the Israelis have been dealing with terrorist activities for a very long time.
Okay.
And through that, I made the linkage that we've now become Israelis, and because now we're dealing with the type of terrorism that they've been dealing with for a very long time.
Jerry, I think you're right on, and I thank you for calling 479-1080. Okay, and so let's see. Here's Steve in Monterey. Welcome to the Saturday Special, Steve in Monterey. Steve?
You're on the air.
Yeah. Okay, Steve is gone, so here's Nick in Royal Oaks.
Okay. Hey, I'm going through that Achilles burn right now.
Oh, okay.
I know minerals, the longevity minerals have really taken shape on it, and so have the selenium.
Well, good.
So, right on for Wallach.
Yes.
And I need more knowledge on that. But again, I'm going to 911. I was really common with nocturnal emissions back then. Rich knows all about that.
What? What are you talking about?
Well, I slept in and I opened the door a little late, maybe 10 o'clock. Usually I put the TV on, but I opened the door and there was a burst of warmth, which was really warm. And it was really rare because it was cold inside. So I got up late. I could be warming up at this house right now. So then it was so quiet. I thought it was strange. So I went and I said, well, I usually turn the TV on and I'm late. I did it. And there it was. They were going, is this a terrorist attack? Was this a terrorist attack? And I'm going, you guys are idiots. I'm an alien. Yeah, I know it. And then all of a sudden, it went into the second tower, and I said, I can shut up now. I didn't know how to shut up. I couldn't tell you how to prove it was going to be a terrorist attack. So we get, before him, we have a Rumsfeld saying McVeigh's not going to see it. This is the week before he's executed. And then after this, your question, are we better off? No, because of I'm shaking because of Shanksville. Because George Bush comes on the television and says, one more target and they would have won. And that target had to have been the Federal Reserve. Because what they did, those ugly towers, they took the Federal Reserve and they directly funded the operations that the Twin Towers were doing through the Federal Reserve. And they did not say one action they did to one transition. They did not reveal one transition to the public. We don't know what they did. It's not talked about that they funded the Twin Towers transactions through the Federal Reserve directly. This is just a covert operation, and that was a sore thumb. And as the son of a construction worker, that was a job well done.
Okay. Well, thank you for relating your experience from 9/11. I'm asking a question as how would life be different now, in your opinion, if 9/11 had not happened? Steve, the Lennon Truth guy in Pacific Grove, what do you think?
Thank you, Mike. Well, I actually happen to have a tape made the day or two before 9/11 of a karaoke bar, and the difference in America's psyche and now is tremendous. I mean, then we were happy-go-lucky, carefree, whimsical. Now we're very much on edge and demure. But I wanted to point out that numerically, the buildings represent the number 11 sticking up there in the sky. Also, 2 middle fingers to the rest of the world. So I don't think building them the same way is a good idea. And number 3, and I want to emphasize this part of my call, where they only showed us this view of the buildings going down one time and one time only at the very end of all that blitz of media coverage. It was from a helicopter right above the building, right before it went down. And right before it went down, it billowed out like a blown-up balloon. Yeah. And then it started to pancake. Now, for it to billow out like it did, and you could only see this from above, that means there was explosives that caused air pressure inside. It was brought down. It was a conspiracy.
Okay, wait, Steve. Listen, I appreciate what you're saying, but that's not the direction I wanted to take the program today. I asked a question, and Nick calls and gives me a theory that we've been hearing for 20 years, and you call and give me, we're not talking about 9/11.
Okay, well, to your point.
Okay?
To your point, okay, to your point, let me just say this.
Yeah.
The world order that I just accused of bringing down the building to start a police state regimen in America, Bush came out today on TV and said how he renounces the Republican Party because they're not world order like he is, apparently. But the whole idea of 9/11 was to take away our freedom, to make us afraid, and to make us a police state, and that's what has happened.
Well, that's what people are saying the vaccines are all about, too.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. And you'll notice how the Bushes and the Clintons did a national tour for years. They're all in bed together, people.
Here, Rich, go ahead, Rich. What do you want to say?
And I direct this not only to you, but to everybody else. You do more harm, and you guys if there was a tape of an elephant excremating or taking a crap, you'd say, no, it wasn't really a crap, it was something else. What do you guys do? Do you guys ever live life, and do you ever just stick your head outside of the window and catch as Bill Wattenberg would probably tell you, to get your head out of your arse and live life and just, be free and all that? Don't come up with this crap that you guys spew every single moment. You guys need to, sir, you need to go out and find a good-looking lady, take her out to dinner, and enjoy yourself, and quit coming up with all this crap that you spew out.
Sir, respectfully, may I reply?
I let you talk. Let me talk. I'll be brief. Unlike you. You do more harm, okay, in your little itsy-bitsy world that you live in. You need to get out there and get laid, sir. Honest to God. You need to have some woman, and if you even have to pay for it, I'd do it. Go out and get laid, man. Quit worrying about stuff that I was almost going to say something else.
Now, may I respond?
Okay, now let him respond. Go ahead, Steve.
Well, first of all, until the politics gets better, you're asking me to make love to a monkey, okay? We're all living like idiots. And you are either extremely naive or you're a paid propagandist. I'm speaking the truth here.
Yeah, you're speaking the truth. Yeah, and tomorrow, if a penguin gets axed, you'll say it was a monkey. Well, I don't know what the monkey thing was. I don't know what the hell that is. But I think, you know what? I think it's time to go to another caller.
Well, Steve, do you want to respond to that before we do go to another caller?
Are you the Lenin?
Let's at least.
Yes, he is the Lenin Truth guy. He is.
Let's at least have the honesty to admit that The Stand by Stephen King is about COVID-19, written in the 70s, and so is his book Rage in the 70s about school shootings. So I'm exposing the commie plot against America. Sorry, folks.
Okay. Thank you, Steve in Pacific Grove, for calling 479-1080. Pete in Aptos, you're next with MZ and Rich, or Rich and MZ.
Thank you, MZ. Your show's the greatest. Your station is the greatest. I listen all the time. And thank you for putting Steve in his place in the most rude way you could.
No, wait a minute. That was Rich who did that. I didn't. I'm polite to everybody. I try to be. Unless they insult my singing. Now wait a minute. What happened?
I'm here.
Well, did I insult him by saying that it was you who insulted the Lennon Truth guy, Steve? Because he dropped off. He was on a cell phone. Maybe he just went into a bat. Maybe he'll call back. Anyhow, here's Bill in Rio Del Mar. Finally, someone is going to address how America is different. Go ahead, Bill. You're on.
Hi.
Turn off your radio. Turn it down. It's confusing everybody.
Excuse me. Is that better?
Much better. Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Thank you for having the show. And it's just I believe the topic was how I think America would have been different.
Yes.
And I just think it's a really complicated question because I just, after reading things for many years, I've just come to the opinion that if 9/11 had not have happened, something like it would have happened in the very near future. I've got my own opinions as to why I think it happened on that specific date, and I believe, besides the central bank, I think another really big deal having to do with that event was just really just to kind of rain down terror, and I just really believe it was an inside job, and I think that this has been going on for a very long time. And so,
what if it? Can you explain to me? Explain. What if it just happened? What if it was just a terrible thing that happened? Why does there always have to be this subplot that there was a plot or something was amiss or it was done by
I've got one more dot that I just wanted to add. One more crumb, and that is, we look at it that the Department of Homeland Security was created as a response to 9/11, and I believe one of the reasons 9/11 happened was to enable bad people to instigate the Department of Homeland Security to spy on us from now on. That's just, I'm sorry, that's, I appreciate the show, and I'm going to listen to everything you have to say off the air.
Okay.
And I'm
all right.
willing to listen to your side.
Yeah, thank you, Bill in Rio Del Mar. Okay, let's see. Our next caller is going to be, I guess someone named Joe in San Jose about a 9/11 experience.
Yeah. Hey, MC, it's a great topic. I'm sorry we had to swerve off into Bigfoot and chemtrails and Lennon murder and whatever.
Well, whatever happens, I've never been one to control the thing. I'm just totally out of control myself, and so the show was out of control.
No problem. So I wouldn't say so much of an experience, but talking about what if 9/11 didn't happen. And if it didn't happen, we would have a heck of a lot more soldiers that weren't killed in the Middle East, as well as the people who weren't killed in the towers, right? We wouldn't have gone into Afghanistan. We wouldn't have this big protracted war. We wouldn't have disrupted, the Iraqi totalitarian government. So, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of things that would have happened if this event triggered a complete disaster in the Middle East, which is happening as we speak in Afghanistan. So,
oh wow! Hey, we can hold you over to the next hour if you want, Joe. But we're coming up on the end of the hour right now. How did that happen so fast? For KSCO, Santa Cruz, Salinas, Monterey, San Jose, we got another hour coming.
4 degrees. The time is now 11:06. Coming up next on your favorite radio station is time for hour 2 of the Saturday Special with your host, MZ.
Would you explain to me, Dave Michaels?
Yes, sir.
What happened to a whole hour's worth of time? It seems like less than a second ago that you handed it off to me.
Wow.
So it was more than an hour ago.
You must be having fun. That's what happens when you have fun, right? Time flies.
I guess.
It also flies when you're trying to get a good deal, MZ, and I'm leaving at 2. So time flies. It'll come faster than you know it. Be sure to get down to the Dave Cave right now. Don't wait. Time flies. You might run out of time.
And you might not be able to make the deal that will make you squeal.
Right. I'll be out
Today,
there until
right?
2 o'clock today, MZ. Till 2 o'clock. Make sure you get out to the Dave Cave. If you can't make it, you have any questions, the number to call is 218-KSCO. Area code 831-218-KSCO.
And operators are standing by
all the time. And
They
if you
can talk to you directly,
they can
right?
talk to me directly. And if you don't, you want to shop online, you can take a look at all the stuff Longevity has to offer. I mean, we can't possibly carry everything, but you can go to kscohealth.com. When you sign up to become a distributor, you get wholesale prices, MZ.
Yeah.
And you have it delivered to your house. Just forget it. It's a great, for free. If you get on auto ship and you order $100 or more every month, it's free. Free shipping delivered to your house. Wholesale prices. Go to kscohealth.com. If you have any questions, call 218-KSCO.
Okay.
All right.
All righty. Well, let's begin hour number 2 officially by doing this.
Oh, hello, darling. I hate to hang up on you, but I'm sorry, baby, but I have to go. It's time for that wonderful record show. I'd love to visit, but you'll have to call back. KSCO has the inside track.
Well, welcome to hour number 2 of the KSCO Saturday Special today, September 11th, 2021.
I'm sorry, baby, but I really gotta go to KSCO Radio. Bye.
And we have our guest, Rich Lieberman, today on with us. And before we cut for the news, we had to interrupt Joe in San Jose, who was relating a 9/11 experience and telling us how things are different, right, Joe?
That is correct. So, anyway, I don't want to. I'm sure you have a lot more conspiracy theories to field, but just the reality.
Yeah,
of
I don't
it
want to
is-
do that, though. I really don't want to do that. I want to, yeah.
Great. Yeah, no, that's awesome. So I think just the bottom line is without that event, we would have never entered into a protracted, Middle East disaster that we're still, trying to get out of, and unsuccessfully, I might add. So anyway, that's all I had to say, MZ. Great show. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Joe, for the kind words. So, Rich.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to, let's see, we have.
Before you go on, Gay,
Yes,
I
sir.
want to ask you this question, and I'm going to maybe contradict myself immensely here, but
Okay.
I wrote this down. Of all the conspiracy theories, right? And I know you don't want to go there, and I'm not going to go there, but I just found it odd. I have to mention this. That, cameras are always on the Trade Center, correct? At the
Okay.
time.
Yeah.
We saw what happened. We never saw, and I may be wrong, but another famous building, the largest office building in the entire world. Did we ever see one of the planes crashing into the Pentagon?
No.
We did, and
No.
I found that odd. And now that's entirely possible because, no possible. What I meant to say was, find it odd, and to this day I found it odd that we never saw the actual plane going into the Pentagon. And like the Trade Center, the Pentagon, I believe, always has cameras on it. And I just found it kind of odd that we never actually saw the impact of.
I've wondered about that too. Does that make me a conspiracy theorist? Does that make you a conspiracy theorist? That we wondered about that?
No, I'm not. I'm saying it's entirely possible that everything after 9/11. You're talking about what things change. We have a lot more cameras in the world. I mean, we have outdoor cameras pretty much everywhere now. You can't, escape. You could be in the most, loneliest place on the planet, and there's probably a camera there. So I'm not saying this is conspiracy theory. I'm just saying I found it odd that we never saw that plane going into the Pentagon, and we see, a million shots of the Trade Center.
I couldn't agree with you more, Rich.
Okay, so I'm glad I brought maybe somebody out there, and then but I'm encouraging all the whack jobs. They're going to call up.
Now, why do you shouldn't berate people just because they have an opinion? Do they berate you since you haven't?
I'm not berating.
I like to be a polite, kind person, and just thank people for airing their opinions. Talk radio is an opinion medium, and people who are respectful and call in with an opinion, even if it's very different from what mine happens to be, I salute them. I thank them for helping me put out programming that is relevant. Okay? So anyhow, let's go to Dave in Hollister, who wants to talk about conspiracies. Go ahead, Dave. Oh, yeah, go ahead. I missed you here.
All right, the last caller. Look, I believe that Kennedy, John F. Kennedy, was murdered. He wasn't not assassinated by one man. I believe Martin Luther King was assassinated by our government. I believe that Robert F. Kennedy was assassinated by our government. So I do believe in somewhat conspiracy. But I did watch the trade centers get hit and come down. Now, I worked construction for 30 years. I used to spray on a fire retardant on steel beams. And when they came out and said, when that jet hit, it blew off the fire retardant off the steel beams. They've often said that aviation fuel burns hotter and longer than gasoline. So it melted the beams, and that's why you see the buildings coming down like a pancake. Okay? I did see a plane hit the Pentagon. Yes. They do it in slow motion, and you see a plane coming in very low. I mean, ground level. I mean, that guy had to be really freaking good to do that. But he did it, and it hit the Pentagon. And 93...
Where did you see that? Because I haven't seen that anywhere, and Rich hasn't seen it anywhere.
Oh, yes, I have.
Where do you get to see it?
Every year I watch 9/11, and they slow it down frame by frame by frame. Okay, you may not see the whole plane, but you do see the explosion. Something coming in.
What I wondered aloud though was, and I believe 9/11 happened. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm just saying it's just odd that unlike the Trade Center always had cameras on it, the Pentagon is the largest office building in the world, and it's also the head of where our military command is located. And it would just be odd that we never saw the plane from a distance going into the Pentagon like we did at the World Trade Center.
But sir, I'm sorry to correct you, but you do from the lawn view, whatever camera was out there.
Where do you find that? I've never seen that ever.
I've seen it on the news every time they replay the 9/11 anniversary.
I'm talking about a video that like you see on YouTube or something. I've never seen that at all.
Well, you're not gonna. Hey, look. I know you're in the high tech, and you got to see it to believe it. Well, I'm just telling you. You know, if you don't see it, you're not going to believe it. I'm just saying that there is two spots of a still camera, a security camera outside that Pentagon, and you see parts of a plane, not all of it, because it's already hit the building, dude. It's already on ground level.
Hey, dude.
So by the time it hits the building and you see the flame come out, are you kidding me? Do you really think that I'm going to believe that the Pentagon blew up their own building to
dude. Hey, dude, what are you, about 65 years old? You're calling me a dude?
Well, really, I'm tired of the callers calling in with the conspiracy that we...
well, he's not a caller. He's the guest on the show today, Dave.
Look, aligning the two trade centers with bombs, and because it was the Bush War and all that kind of stuff. No, look, this is what it is. We had two presidents before that had warning in '92 and on. that Al-Qaeda was going to strike America one way or another. They already tried it in '95, trying to blow the World Center in the garage. Okay, so we were warned, and we ignored that. But I get angry when people call up and say, "Oh no, our government blew up those buildings. Our government did the Pentagon."
Rich certainly isn't. Rich isn't suggesting that.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I'm just saying the other callers that called in, please. Look, I'm a conspiracy guy too. I just named off 3 assassinations or murders. Okay, I don't believe that the one individual did every one of them. Even Sirhan that's getting out of frickin' prison. I believe it was a hit, and they carried it out.
Oh, you say he's not going to get out of prison, Rich? Because Newsom won't allow it, and Newsom will continue to be the governor, right?
No. Newsom won't allow it. Number one. Number two, the guy's 78 years old. He's going to live. He's not going to leave prison. But sir, I'm with you. I'm against conspiracy theories because most of the time, and all of the time, they don't have any proof of whatever that they're trying to say happened. The thing, I just made an observation that it was unusual that you never saw a long view of a plane hitting the Pentagon. That's all I said. I didn't say there was a conspiracy. I believe it happened. That we had a terrible day. We had a horrible terrorist.
All right, I'm sorry. I apologize. But I get angry when people call up and say 9/11 was a conspiracy to blow down the 2 trade centers. And then when I hear people say, well, we never saw a plane hit the Pentagon, well, yes, you did. If you watch the news, they played it over and over and over again to
somehow both Rich and I have missed that. So I'll be looking for it. Thank you for putting my nose in it. I appreciate it.
I'm just telling you what I saw on TV, the 2 steel frames, that there was a plane coming down low. It was so freaking quick because he was going so quick in that jetliner or airplane or whatever. It was hard to capture it on camera, but you do see the 2 stop stills of a plane hitting the Pentagon.
Okay.
Okay. And 93, Flight 93. Okay. What is that a false narrative here? No, those guys attacked. And they stood up for their rights, and that the Taliban or whatever crashed that plane into the ground, and we know that because those people never came home.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
It wasn't the Taliban. It was a group of 19 Saudi Arabian. Yeah.
Al-Qaeda, whatever you want to call them, they're all nut jobs.
Okay.
You can call them whatever.
Dave, thank you for calling 479-1080.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take up all your time.
Well, I'm the host here, and I allowed it. So, but thank you, because I like to be polite to people.
Please tell the other conspiracy callers, don't call in. And
okay, listen, Dave in Hollister has asked that you conspiracy callers not call in to KSCO ever again. Ever.
Well, no, because I like to hear them too. That way I can call in.
You're talking with forked tongue. You're talking out of both sides of your mouth.
Well, my Indian name is given 2 dogs, so bye.
Oh, 2 dogs bleeping. Okay.
That's my Indian given name. 2 dogs.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Dave in Hollister. Here's Julie at her house. Go ahead, Julie. You're on the air.
Hi. I just wanted to add something that I used to do outside sales or in an occupation where I would go to people's homes. And I went to this nice lady's home one day, and she had a nice picture of herself hanging on the wall with George Bush. So I asked her about that after I did my sales spiel. And she started to relate to me the story that she did work in the Pentagon when the plane did crash in the Pentagon. And I truly believe her because as she talked about the story, she was very upset. She was in the quadrant or the smoking area, and she did witness with her own eyes the plane coming into the building.
I'm not saying, can I just set the record
please.
straight?
Somehow we've gone off on a tangent. Okay.
Please, I'm not finished.
Okay.
Man, you like to interrupt people.
Who, me?
She's not the only person.
Or do you mean Rich? I don't like to interrupt people.
My ex-employer also had an aunt that worked at the Pentagon at the same time, and thank God both of these women survived, but they did witness the plane coming into the Pentagon, and that's what I wanted to add. So even though there's no pictures, I actually
Yeah,
know
because there
people-
might not have been a camera trained at that.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
People are always photographing the world, the Twin Towers. I mean, at any one time, there's probably 1,000 photos or videos being taken of the Twin Towers, even back then when everybody's had cameers.
Exactly. There was no reason to have cameras
Yeah.
then.
So anyhow, that's
and,
probably all it is, Rich. Because yeah.
Can I just say something?
Yeah, please.
Ma'am, to the caller. I didn't say there was a conspiracy. I know a plane hit the Pentagon. I've been to that building many a times when I went to Washington. I understand that. I'm not saying any conspiracy. I say, indeed, a plane hit the Pentagon. I saw the whole damage. I want to clarify that. I'm not some kook. I just found it unusual that usually on a building of that magnitude and of that historical importance, while there are cameras on major buildings like the World Trade Center, that we never saw a long view of a plane going into the Pentagon. I know a plane attacked the Pentagon, for God's sake.
Okay. Now you can talk. I've had you potted down because if I don't pot one person down, nobody gets to hear anything. Go ahead, Julie.
Exactly. Anyway, you can dispute the fact that because you didn't see a plane. But
he's not doing that either. He just thinks it's odd. That's all. Anyhow,
what's odd?
That it's odd that there's you've never seen even a scale model, version of it or something,
Well, I traveled to Washington, D.C. after 9/11, and I saw the damage to the Pentagon. The Metro dropped you off right there in front of the Pentagon.
Woman, do you have ears, ma'am? Do you have ears? God, help me.
Okay, it's time to move on. Thank you. We'll take next here. That would be Jeff in Salinas about buildings.
Hi, Michael. Thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome.
Michael, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, Michael, but I need to let you know, my previous career, I was a bridge builder. I worked for the company that built the Bay Bridge, the Presidio Parkway, several bridges up and down the 880. For 28 years, okay, I did this. Michael, there's something that's really wrong with this Twin Towers coming down. When you see the debris pile after the whole thing is smoke cleared and everything else, there's no rebar. Okay? When this happened, on the morning of 9/11, I was in the office at 880 Mission in Fremont there with all these structural engineers, all the architects, all the foremen, all the pile drivers, all the carpenters, the laborers, and we're looking at the TV and going, wait a minute, where's all the rebar? Where's this is not right. And we're looking at each other going, this is not what's going on here. Something's really wrong with this picture. The core of those buildings had enormous concentrations of rebar. There's no way. Not a conspiracy, not anything else, but you have to understand, and I dare any carpenter or bridge carpenter or architectural engineer, anybody that knows what I'm talking about, to tell me I'm wrong. Because there's no way that those buildings came down like they did. No way.
So you're suggesting that they would have had to have explosives within them to set it off, or what?
I don't know. I have no idea. But there was, just to prove my point, in Gilroy, there's a way station, okay? That was a part of my commute. There was an airplane that crash landed and hit the face of the Highway Patrol building at that way station. I believe it was in 2005 or 2006. Okay, it was a small engine plane, but it hit the side of the building. Okay, and it didn't even scratch it. Not even a scratch. It left a black mark. You can take a beer can, full of concrete or whatever and throw it at a concrete block, and you're not going to scratch it, ever. It doesn't happen like that. I'm telling you, this is not a conspiracy. This is not my opinion. It's the facts. And what about Building 7? Building 7 came down on its own. Something's going on here, and people need to understand that what you're seeing on the TV is not what really happened. It's just not.
Okay.
There's just no way.
How can I thank you?
That's all I want to say.
How can I thank you for calling into the Saturday special, Jeff and Salinas?
Hey, Michael, we thank you. And there's a truck driver. I'm a truck driver now, and I'm out of Iowa. There was a driver that called earlier that left of California, and he lives in Iowa. Thank you for your service, sir. I'd like to get. I'm really happy that you listen to KSCO on the road out here. I do every day. I love Charlie.
I forgot to thank him too, so thank you for thanking him and reminding me to.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay, take care, Jeff.
I appreciate your service.
Have a good
Thank
one.
you.
Appreciate it. Bye-bye. Here is Colonel Terry.
Yeah, MC and gentlemen.
Rich Lieberman.
Mr. Lieberman, I was assigned to the Pentagon that day. And by the way, I was scheduled, in fact, for a meeting at the ground floor level in a conference room not far from where the plane first impacted. That meeting was altered the Friday afternoon before the week prior, so that I was on Capitol Hill instead at something else. My secretary on the other side of the, Monmouth Pentagon, the other side of the building on the fourth floor, she described she could feel the impact of the airplane that morning from the other side and 4 stories higher in the building. I also got over to the building quickly, and I saw, penetration of the walls. And by the way, that side of the Pentagon was reinforced to protect it from a truck bomb expected, contingent attack. The glassware, it's one of the reasons the plane didn't do more damage, but it did or penetrate further. Nonetheless, it was consistent with an aircraft penetrating in. It was consistent, and I also saw parts of what I am convinced were parts of the engines of the plane. In addition, a day or 3 later, I was inside the building and walked to where the plane had penetrated the several corridors inside, and that damage was consistent, and so was some of the debris.
Can I just very calmly, Terry, momentarily interrupt you? I'm going to let you finish, and Michael will indulge. I want to make this very clear. I don't deny what happened. I just found it odd that we never saw the actual plane hit, like a long view. In other words, of a plane coming from back. And I would think that the Pentagon would have had a camera. I just found it unusual. I don't deny that the plane hit the Pentagon. I want to make that clear. I am not into conspiracy theories. So I just found it, again, unusual. Wouldn't you find it unusual that we have never seen the actual plane hitting that building? A building as big.
Rich, I've received in the last 15 minutes a number of emails with links, and I haven't had time to click on the links to see, but apparently these links take us to videos of the plane doing just that. So I can send it to you, and if you want, but I haven't even looked at it myself. Won't do it till the end of the show.
In addition, it came in at low altitude, very high speed, like being driven into the building, possibly in excess of 500 miles per hour at the point of impact. Consequently, the camera was not designed to catch something at that speed, and there was a camera that was there. There's one, at least, that's been published by the FBI. You'll probably find the others. Well, yes, we were attacked, and it's going to happen again because of the way we have abandoned Afghanistan.
Right. Couldn't agree with you more. Thank you, Colonel Terry.
Fair enough.
Appreciate your call to 479-1080. Here's Inspector Clouseau.
I guess I was the only one that was awake that morning. I didn't pay for cable, so I got one of the 3 stations that you could get without cable. And that morning, I saw the plane sitting. A little bit of its nose, if I remember, was in the Pentagon, but most of it was on the lawn outside it. And it was an aerial view. I don't know if they took it from a helicopter or from a building that overlooks it, but it was there that morning. I saw the shot of it. And as far as the bridge builder, talking about re-rod in that building, they didn't use re-rod in those types of buildings. It ain't a bridge, it's a building, and they use like this corrugated metal, and they'll pour concrete on top of that. They don't use rebar. So most of the load and the steel doesn't have to melt to lose its strength. All it's got to be is heated up to a certain degree, then it has no strength left to carry the load that's on it. And if you look at the debris pile, you'll see the steel hasn't been melted. It's been bent. It's like a spaghetti noodle. It doesn't melt. It just gets soft, and then it loses its load-bearing capacity in engineering terms.
Okay.
Just wanted to make that clear.
Well, thank you for making it clear on the Saturday special. All
right, Mike.
All right. So no one's on the line now, and if people want to call, that's fine. If they don't, but if you do call, please try to answer my question. I think only one person has answered the question, and I think the man was brilliant, and I think the man was right on when I asked how we would be different, how things would be different if 9/11 hadn't happened. And only one person answered that question. Everybody else just blathered on like they do for the last 20 years about this. And I've asked what I thought was a pretty cogent, clear question, and only one person answered it. And the answer was a great answer. We wouldn't have gone through 20 years of a worse war than even Vietnam, only to have it end the way it ended in the last couple of weeks. Just awful. Anyhow, our guest is Rich Lieberman from 415 Media. If now the lines are filling up again, I don't know if I've been able to, get people to understand what I want to hear on the radio, and I don't. Go ahead, Rich. What's up?
The ultimate proof that conspiracies are just that, theories. There's never been a conspiracy that's ever been proven, ever. JFK, RFK. You'd be an instant billionaire if you can tell pointedly with JFK what happened. Nobody's proven it. Nobody's proven it. And the RFK, nobody's proven it. So these things just go on, and I think they were invented by the Society of Talk Show Hosts and their producers of America. I mean, do I make myself clear?
Yes, very clear. Very clear.
Okay.
All right. Now,
I'm eating a bagel, and I'm sorry, I almost got something. I think I was going to be Karen or Mama Pass for a minute.
It's very rude to masticate when you're on the air.
Right.
Okay, let's see what Linda has to say. Hi, Linda. Linda's calling from nowhere.
I'm calling from Aptos right now.
Oh, okay, good. You're on with Rich and MZ.
What the difference that I see is when we had 9/11, the whole country came together.
Right. That's what I said at the beginning. Yeah.
Yes, and I'm a pet sitter, and I was a pet sitter at that time. And I had a lot of people that were trying to get home that were all over the world. And I had this one couple that finally was able to get home, and they were only home for about a week. And she called me to reserve time to take care of the cats. And I said, "You mean you're going to travel so soon?" And she said, "Yes, I'm not going to let these people control my life." And what we've become with this COVID thing is a bunch of wusses. Well, we're afraid of everything. And we weren't that way then. We were still Americans, and we stood up. And that's the difference, is we have become like fearful people that can be controlled. by a silly virus. Hello?
I'm about to give you an award.
Silly virus.
Do you think that, Rich? Do you think that Linda from Nowhere deserves an award?
What kind of an award?
Well, an award for having a very smart, intelligent phone call today. You know,
Until the last statement when she said a silly virus, I didn't get that. What do you mean by that? Is she still on the line?
Yes.
Yeah, because it's silly because it controls everybody, and that's not America.
Well, what are you talking about, man? You're saying that so the virus suddenly is a human person now because it controls us.
Everything has changed in 20 years. Everything has totally changed in 20 years. And we have become people that are fearful and controlled by things instead of getting out there and doing what we're supposed to be doing. We're afraid.
Wow.
That's what I'm talking about.
I am so impressed. I need to get your address to send you an award.
Thank you, Michael.
Let me ask you, sir, have you been vaccinated, ma'am? I'm just curious to know.
Yeah.
I bet you haven't, right?
No, I have, because I have to go into people's homes to take care of their animals.
But isn't that
they don't want
your logic? Isn't that controlling you, though?
Yes.
I have no choice. I need to work. I am going to work no matter what.
Yeah. So you saying then that if you didn't have to do that, you wouldn't have got the vaccine, correct?
No, because I had COVID in February of 2020.
Okay.
And I had my antibodies checked before I decided to get the jabs, and they were below 1%. Now, if they'd been above 2%, I would not have started the vaccinations. But, I have to work.
Listen.
And if people don't want me in their house because I could, leave a droplet somewhere, then that's not acceptable.
So anyhow, I think it's great. People have their reasons for getting vaccinated. Rich, you had your reason for getting vaccinated. I had my reason. And the problem I have is people who think I'm stupid for getting vaccinated. If they don't want to get vaccinated, I don't think they're stupid for not getting vaccinated. Don't get vaccinated, but don't think I'm stupid for not getting vaccinated, okay? Or be what's that word? Abusive. So, Linda, thank you very much for calling 479-1080. Don and Selena's Downtown Owl, Sean in Live Oak, Greg in Prunedale, and Rory. Stay tuned. But Linda provided an amazing, wonderful segue to this little YouTube video that I'm going to play. Okay, go ahead and just listen to that.
Going to need to see your proof of vaccination. Oh. We got the new mandate going on.
Right, sorry. I have the app.
Oh, Moderna, huh? Heard that one knocks you on your ass. I got the Pfizer.
Oh, you're a Pfizer guy. I hear Moderna's better, but not going to judge, The new normal.
Have a good one.
Have a good one.
1 year later, it
Vaccine
says.
passport?
Okay.
Yeah, but I need proof of at least 10 booster shots.
Okay, the guy is showing him both arms with bandages on all the... and all over his torso.
Passport. I'm going to need to see an allergy test. Lyme disease. Chickenpox. H1N1. Rabies tag. H1N2. I'm going to need to see some polio papers.
Seriously?
No, I'm just kidding about that one.
Oh.
But I will need to see a syphilis passport.
Oh, of course.
H1N3. H1N4. All right, proof of the herpes vaccine. And what about the herpes booster?
I literally got it like 10 minutes ago.
Let's see it. All right, hand, foot, and mouth disease. H1N5, H1N6, prostate exam.
He puts on a rubber glove.
I'm gonna need your Netflix password. HPV.
I actually have HPV.
I need proof to show solidarity to the HPV community. I'm gonna need to see your Blockbuster card. Tetanus. Negative test for the Black Plague. Tetanus booster.
I don't have it.
I'll give it to you now.
he gives him a
Proof of
shot in
political
the arm.
party.
Okay.
Proof of diversity.
Are you serious?
We already have 2 white guys in there, okay? That's our limit.
Okay, I'm Jewish.
What do you think this is, 2021? You're going to have to be way more oppressed than that to get in here. You got like a 23andMe test results?
Yes.
50% Ashkenazi Jew. 0.000027 Native American. Why didn't you just tell me that? You got an anti-racist card? All right, now I just got to check your white guilt score. 9.7. Wow, not bad, man. Not bad. Just got to scan you for male toxicity.
He points to his private parts.
Okay, quick set of questions. Would you have sex with a trans woman?
Yes.
Can men have babies?
Yes.
What are your pronouns?
He, him, they, them.
Do all lives matter?
Yeah, no.
Quote from Broad City to prove you can hang with gay people.
Yes, Queen.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
Yeah, that's better. How many statues have you toppled this month?
9.
You support the police?
No.
Are all Trump supporters racist?
Yes.
How many abortions have you paid for?
5.
I'm going to need to see your punch card. All right, 4 more and your 10th one's free. How many people have you canceled this month?
18, 19, including my grandmother.
Racist?
No, she still likes Louis C.K.
Ooh, even worse. Ever been Me Too'd?
No.
Me 3'd?
No.
Me 4'd?
Nope.
Me 5'd?
Nope.
Me 7'd? Me 69'd? All right, I'm going to show you some photos of women holding power jobs. Tell me what word comes to mind.
Brave. Brave. So brave.
That's not bad. I need proof of a black friend. Okay, how many pronouns are there?
92,627.
All right, and finally, I need you to recite the full sexuality acronym.
LGBTQIAONMPZ / question mark, greater than sign, less than sign, squiggly mark, a peace sign, @ sign, hammer and sickle, poop emoji, and symbol for titanium.
All right, just put your mask on and show them your receipt.
You know, I actually lost the receipt, so...
How are we supposed to give you your laundry if you don't have the receipt? Get the fuck out of here, you
self-service laundry.
Oh, hey, thank you so much for watching my new sketch. If you're a fan of my comedy and you want to help support, you can join Patreon right here or in the link in the description. That's how I fund all my videos. You get extra footage, extra videos, and a bonus episode of my podcast every week. Don't forget to subscribe up here, hit the notification bell, and just come here for 1 second.
Okay, so that's the end of that, and so, okay. Gee, we have a full board of people. I'm going to do Take Next. Who is Take Next, okay? Take Next is Don and Salinas. Hi, Don and Salinas.
Hi. You know, I hope President Biden doesn't see that video. We'll really be in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to thank Jeff Bosshard for sending that to me at 6:15 this morning. That was very great. A good thing. I gave me some nice content.
I wanted to first answer your question. If 9/11 hadn't happened, I believe we would not have invaded Afghanistan. We would not have invaded Iraq, but we probably would have bombed the hell out of Iraq. It would, because our wrath was turned more toward Iran at that time than anybody else. I mean, we talked about Iraq a lot, but Iraq was a helpless thing at that time, where Iran was a great big threat. So I think that's where it would have been at that time. And
you deserve an award also, Don. Boy, I'm awarding so many awards today. What do you think, Rich?
Oh, I was looking up. I'm coming. I was looking up a video of Pentagon.
I sent you an email. I forwarded one of the many emails I got with a link, so you should have it.
I didn't check. I checked, but I don't. And I'm just curious. And again, I couldn't find anything on the internet.
Well, I just forwarded. I didn't look at it. Don, didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead, finish up.
Don, wait. Can I say something to Don?
Yeah.
Don.
Yeah.
I have listened to you, Don. You crack me up. You're very entertaining. I don't agree with anything you say in terms of politics. When you call and argue, wait a minute, you argue with Rothman on KGO. That is like worthy of me sitting down and eating my favorite breakfast cereal, like Captain Crunch or the original Light cereal. When I'm listening to you, man, you crack I mean, I'm going to write about you, Don. What do you do, Don? And Michael has brought this up. He says there are a lot of people that call talk shows, and I've heard you call various talk shows. Are you like independently wealthy?
Well, I'm independent wealthy. No. No, I'm
crack me up. I love your calls. They are entertaining, and you mess with Rothman, and when you mess with Rothman, I'm laughing up my my arse, and it shows you that you are very entertaining, my man. You are extremely, and I love your calls.
Well, my wife loves me to call Rothman because she says it's like listening to the Odd Couple have an argument.
Well, you're on, man. You ought to get it cut. You know, of course, with KSCO, they may not be able to pay you, but that's another story. Huh. But no, I don't agree with anything you have to say, but I love the way you say it.
Well, what I wanted to put in on this on the 9/11, you had a caller, I think Jeff and Salinas, who was talking about the core of the building being pure rebar.
Yes.
I wanted to set the record straight on the Twin Towers. They had no core. The Twin Towers had the Empire State Building has a core, but they built the Twin Towers in a different fashion because they wanted to maximize office space, and the core was on the outside. That's why when they pancaked and fell down, they peeled like a banana. Those were crappy buildings in the first place. They were not sturdy buildings. They were horribly built, and that's pretty much one of the reasons why they fell down. And that other building that fell down by itself, a lot of people don't know this, but underneath that center, where the Twin Towers was hollow. And when those buildings fell down, all them thousands of tons fell into the hollow, pushed the air underneath the other buildings, and caused like a magnitude 12 earthquake. And that's why the other buildings fell down.
Wow, it's the first time I've heard that. That sort of makes sense, actually.
Yeah. And also, as far as the Pentagon and the plane hitting the Pentagon, in another life, I'll play Colonel Terry here. I worked with the government, and we were designing blast walls in front of munition bunkers. And if you look at a munition bunker, they have like a concrete wall in front of the door. That's to keep a missile from going through the door and exploding the munitions inside, a missile or a bomb. And this company said they made the best blast walls, and to show it, they had a video where they put a jet plane, a commercial jet, on one of those jet sleds, those rocket sleds, and slammed it into one of those walls. And I watched an equivalent of like a 727 hit one of those blast walls and disappear. I mean, it disappeared. It hit the wall at about 500 miles an hour, and it disappeared. I watched it just disappear, and the blast wall didn't fall down, but the jet went from like 100 and something feet long to 5 feet long. It was amazing. And that's what happened in the Pentagon. That's why you can't find the plane, because it just disappeared. A plane's a big beer can, okay? It's not a solid missile. And when you're going at 500 miles an hour, that's a tremendous amount of energy.
No, Don, but wait a minute, Don, I agree with you. And I'm not claiming, and I know you're not saying this, I'm not claiming that a plane didn't hit it. Of course it did, the Pentagon. My thing is, I'll be more descriptive. We see both the airplanes, or we saw the second airplane that hit the World Trade Center, correct? We saw.
Oh yeah, but that thing of not nobody seeing the Pentagon, it hitting the Pentagon. Pentagon's not the Statue of Liberty. Nobody gives a damn about taking a picture of the Pentagon.
But if you go on and type in Pentagon camera, you will see the Pentagon now. I mean, it's a major building. It's the biggest office building in the world. And the only thing I could think of, and I'm not, again, I agree, the plane hit the Pentagon. I know that. The only thing I can think the reason why we don't see a long view is that the way the building is contoured. It's a very what is it, like 5 stories, but it's got 9.
It's a pentagon.
It's a pentagon, correct. That's the only thing I could think of. But I would have thought a camera from somewhere over that entire building.
I think there was a camera somewhere. There was a camera somewhere in the Pentagon that caught it, and we'll never see it because, as usual, the government hides it. So that's the only thing that I can think of. But I better get off and let other people talk. Good
That's true.
Here.
Thank you, because we have less than 9 minutes left.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Don and Selena. It's always great to hear from you. Take next. That would be Downtown Owl.
Hey, I don't know if you're still on the subject about what people thought when they woke up that morning and saw the planes.
Okay.
First thing I thought was, how many other planes are in the air? And were we going to have them crashing into the John Hancock Tower in Chicago and the Trans-American Pyramid or the Golden Gate Bridge? And, like, how many of these flying bombs with fanatics were suspended in the air? And the second thought I had was, maybe they'll finally do something about the border. And then I called up my friend whose mom had rented a room to a Saudi Arabian who was studying how to fly airplanes. And my friend had already said he was a sketchy dude. And he called and, like, alerted her to call the FBI because this was down in Southern California, and she'd rented a room to the Saudi Arabian pilot student who he'd already had some suspicions about. But, you know, in terms of, like, how it changed us, well, nothing's changed with the border. It's worse than ever. And we've got all these restrictions on everything now. But I don't think it would have gone away because if it hadn't happened, Bin Laden and Al-Qaeda, yeah, we'd already had the coal. We'd had other, issues all over the place, attempts on the Twin Towers. Something else would have happened.
Okay.
Thank you. Probably wouldn't have gone into Iraq, though.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. All right. Thank you, Downtown Owl. Great to hear from you always. Okay. Sean and Live Oak, real quick.
Okay. Well, the big change that I saw that happened from 9/11 is we got the Patriot Act, and if that hadn't happened, we wouldn't have had that abortion thrust upon us.
Uh-huh.
And and the other thing is we've brought up all sorts of conspiracy theories, and I think 95% of the things in this world happen out of incompetence. Conspiracies, the rare occurrence of things happen from conspiracy. It's all incompetence.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for calling 479-1080. Here's Greg in Prunedale. Greg, you're on.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, I never hear it said, but the reason 9/11 happened was because the airlines didn't have a barrier between the pilots and the passengers, and they allowed the extremists with box cutters to crash the planes. And what's happened since then is they put a barrier between the pilots and the passenger, and we haven't had any other planes crash into anybody. The whole thing was put. They knew for years they needed a door between the pilots and the passenger, and they were too cheap to put it there.
They've always had a door. I think you mean just greater security. So.
Yes. No, they never had a door that was secure. They had drunks try to fly the planes for years. They had all kinds of shit. The stewardess would have to tackle them in the hallway. They knew for years that. One other thing that now they put the door. Have they had any planes flown into anything? Nothing. Another thing that's changed for me is I lost a lot of good fishing spots because I can't fish on the dams and the canals. That's all I want to say.
Okay, thank you very much for saying it on KSCO. Here is Rory.
Hey, MC.
Hi, Rory.
Yeah, I agree that the two callers, maybe three now, that we're a more fearful country and we're a much more highly regulated country. And the worst thing is we've lost probably close to 10,000 citizens between Iraq and Afghanistan, not just the soldiers, but the contractors. And so we lose them and probably close to $10 trillion and all the opportunity costs that go with that. And we become a more fearful, with that lady you talked about, everybody being afraid. And I still see people driving around in their cars by themselves with the windows up and a mask on. It's like, really? Anyway, so that's where we're at. How we get back to our freedoms before 9/11, a more free society, we have to become more courageous.
Got it.
And thank you for having the program.
Thank
Bye.
you, Maury. Here's Ed in Carmel. Ed, you're on KSCO.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. I just wanted to draw your attention to another time and frame on that flight path. You know, I'd worked at the Pentagon for quite a few years there in the 90s and into the late 90s and early 2000s, and I've been back many times since. But bottom line is this: I used to run across the bridge there. I think it was Memorial Bridge from the Pentagon Athletic Club, and the aircraft had a low flight path going into Reagan. Okay, and it was a couple times you could see the people's faces. I mean, it was that close. So at the last minute, I'm sure that they had, planned this and checked out the routes, because at the last minute, basically that plane had diverted, and at the angle it was coming in, it was dropping into that flight path. It slid right into the Pentagon. So I'm not surprised, because we used to talk about that, how low those planes would be, and they for years tried to change the flight path into Reagan National. So anyway, that's basically what I want to address.
Okay. Thank you for addressing it on what is hopefully your favorite radio station.
It is. Thank you.
Okay, there goes Ed and Carmel. Hey, Rich, it's just you and me for the rest of the show. How are we gonna use it?
Well, I have a little tidbit that I'm going to give you.
I like tidbits.
There you go. You know, there was a lot of, and this is something, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't bring it up, but whatever. I'm going to, who cares? But several financial companies, were up in those buildings. And I'm reading it. Do you know almost $1 billion with a B in cash? That's cash. Were in various safes and components in the Trade Center. So when those buildings came down, amongst the horrible remains and artifacts, and was almost $1 billion in cash, which you don't hear about a lot. I mean, obviously with what took place and all that, but
all our government needs to do is print some replacement $1 billion in cash.
Give it to, you mean like reparations or something?
No, just they can do it. The loss of all that magnitude of cash doesn't really mean anything, because the government can just print new stuff. It's just like it's doing to keep the people from working. No wonder nobody can get anything done around here, because people make more by not working at home, by being paid by the government to not work.
We can go, well, that's a debate to be. And here's another thing. Nothing to do with that.
Okay.
Do you know?
Less than a minute. Go ahead, though.
A conspiracy theory that Don Knotts was responsible for the death of JFK.
No, I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, the Barney Fife.
You never know. Right.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to do my Don Knotts impression, but I can't. So it just shows you that, if there's a lot of crazy people out there.
Right.
But this has been a great show. I think there should have been more of me and less of everybody else.
Well, of course, yeah, but, shucks. That's the difference between being a guest and being a host. If you're a host, you can...
Yeah, but what's up? Is that What's Up, folks? Or what's
yeah, that's coming up next here in about 6 seconds.
What are you having for dinner tonight?
Oh, Chinese food. But anyhow, next week we're going to have Batista Locatelli, from 90 years old, from Batista's Hole in the Wall in Vegas. And so, tune in for that.